Well, hi there, I'm Noah Bradley, and this is Handmade House TV. On today's episode, we're going to talk about a significant way to save money when building your own home, and it's a way to make the process a whole lot more enjoyable and your job site a whole lot more secure. So stay tuned. Well, all right, welcome back. Today I have one more module within the Bootstrap Building Academy that I really feel I need to share with you. This will be the fourth module that I've done this. There are 20 of them all together within the Bootstrap Building Academy. If you'd like to learn more about that, please visit handmadehouses.com, and the link is easy to find once you're there. But today's module is one that's not for everybody, but if you can make it, if it works for you, it can really be a game changer. It can save you a tremendous amount of money and make the process of building your home much more enjoyable. So with that said, let's get started. Well, hey there, welcome back to the Bootstrap Building Academy. This is the fourth module in our series, where today we're going to talk about the benefits of living on your land while you build. And there is a ton of benefits in doing this, and I can say that I've done it frequently myself, and it's something that you should seriously consider. If you can think about cutting your costs or cutting your expenses dramatically when you're building your home, you have more money to work with. And not only are you're taking the money perhaps of your savings or from your income of working another job, or perhaps your maid is working a job in order to cover the expenses of where you currently live while you're building. Well, that's a tremendous drain on your budget. Whereas if you own a piece of land, you've already put your well in place, you already have your septic system in place. There's no reason why you can't move on to that land throughout the construction of your project. And there's clearly other benefits to living on your land, and other than financial means, and that is that you're close to the site. You're always there. If there's not a drive between where you live and where you are building, well, you're there more often. There's less of that drive time commuting back and forth, and you're more motivated to be there and to work on the project. So the project tends to move along quicker. There's the security aspect. No one's going to come in and steal your materials if you're living there. But there's also the benefit of being on your land, of experiencing your home, of watching the sun come up, the sun go down, of being able to pull out a lawn chair in the evening and reflect upon the work that you've done, and to get yourself prepared for the coming day's worth of work. But the focus of the Bootstrap Building Academy is not on all of the wonderful benefits associated with home building. We're trying to keep laser focused on just the money saving aspect of it, in which clearly there's money to be saved in living on your own property. Now, we have options when it comes to living on our property, and the first one is the crudest, rudest option there is, and that is to just live in a tent on the property. And I've done that on a home that I built, the second home that I built for myself. I actually made my own tent. I had rock on the property that I put 4 little piers up on. I had some scrap lumber that I created a floor deck and a crude framework, and I had leftover plastic that I would use to cover my material up through the process of building my home. And I just built myself a real nice little tent. So the total cost of it was $0, and my wife and I, we lived in this little tent for probably about 6 to 8 months worth of time. I don't recall exactly, but nonetheless, it was a comfortable sleeping quarters for us to reside in. Basically the existence while we were building the home was more of a camping thing. We would cook outside. We would had a nice bathing situation lined up. We had fresh water supply. And it was extremely beneficial. It was the only way we could put together the construction of this particular home. Now, on the construction of my father's house when I was a young man at the age of 15, my first building experience. He bought 2 camper trailers. The family already owned one, and he bought a second one. My mother and my father lived in one of them, and I lived in the second camper trailer. And again, this put us on the site. It allowed us to work on the home throughout the construction of it, and it worked out extremely well. There are a lot of advantages into buying a camper trailer versus the tent. For one thing, a camper trailer is so much more comfortable than a tent is. There's a real live bed to sleep on. You're up off the floor. You have more secure walls. You're not worried about wildlife getting in where you're at. The temperature control within a camper trailer is up to modern standard livings. There is also within a camper trailer you can have a bathroom if so desired, which is a handy thing to have, but also there is a refrigeration if you've got electricity. You've got gas lighting. You have chairs that you can set in. You have a cook stove where you can cook on, a little sink that you can clean dishes with. It's a much higher standard of living, and if you're more rested, if you're more clean, if you don't have that camping routine of living in a tent, you're miles ahead of it. And the real secret thing that I can really share with you is that years later I knew a couple who experienced a house fire in their home. It wasn't the entire home was devastated, but nonetheless, the home was damaged to the point where no one could occupy the home during the restoration of the home. And insurance companies will typically give an individual money through their policy in order to supply them temporary housing while the house is being repaired. Most people will take this money and they will rent a home for a period of time, or they will stay in a hotel. But this particular couple took the money that the insurance company gave them and they purchased a camper trailer. And they absolutely had a wonderful camping experience living outside of their home. They did some of the work on the home themselves, which gave them more of a savings in addition to the professional crews that came in and did the work on the home. They were there to supervise what's going on. They were there for security to make sure that no one was trespassing on the property during this restoration process. But also when the whole project was over with, when the house was finished and restored and they could move back in it, they put the camper up for sale, and they were quickly sold the camper for the same price that they bought it for. So in the end, it didn't cost them anything to own a camper. And that's what I can offer to you, that if you're interested in being an owner-builder, if you want to build your own handmade house and you want to save the most amount of money, by all means, get yourself on your land as soon as you can. You're allowed to camp on your own land. You don't need a whole lot of specific permissions from the government to camp on your land. By doing that, you're going to dramatically cut all of your living expenses at another property. Your project's going to be better and move through it. One other benefit that I can offer in doing that is that by living on your land, by already having occupancy and reducing the cost of it, there is less of an urgency for you to get the house done as fast as possible. You're now oriented in a position and a capability that you'll be able to do a highest quality work on the home. There won't be any of that, oh, let's go ahead and do a pier foundation on our home, a foundation that you will regret at some time in the future for sure. And the motivating factor in most people doing a pier foundation is not cost savings, because there's not a whole lot of savings to be had by doing a pier foundation, but it's in order. We need to get the house done in order to get in it. Well, if you've got yourself a trailer, you're in position, you're ready to go, and you can do a good job in the construction of your home, not a cheap one that you will regret in the future. So by far the best option that I can recommend to you is to get on your land. Maybe avoid the tent situation of building one. Find yourself a nice, high quality, nice camper trailer that will be easy to sell, probably a little bit used one because everything new depreciates rapidly. Find one that there's a demand for. You can't beat an Airstream trailer. And so get yourself a nice trailer, enjoy living on your property, save yourself a tremendous amount of money, and when you're done you have a camper that you can go camping with and explore the country, or else you can go ahead and turn it around and it turns out to be that it didn't cost you anything at all because you'll get it all back when it comes time to sell. So anyway, I hope you got something out of today's module. Thank you very much for joining me here in the Bootstrap Building Academy. I look forward to seeing you on our next module. I think that you'll enjoy it as well. Until then, you guys take care. Bye now. Well, that about wraps it up for today. I hope you enjoyed today's module within the Bootstrap Building Academy. And I hope you consider living on your land while you're building your home. It's a tremendous benefit, and I might be opening myself up to doing that very well on my own particular property here. And the option that I'm likely going to choose rather than purchasing a trailer is that I'm going to build 2 different outbuildings here in the coming weeks, and I'll be building a little log outbuilding here to keep my stuff in, particularly the generator to operate during construction. And I'm going to be building myself a little, what I'm going to call a writer's cabin down by the lake. And that could be very well a habitable structure for me during the construction. So I hope that you'll consider this. Before we go, I'd like to thank 5 new members of the Handmade House Guild. They are David Samples, David Martin, got 2 Davids today, Adam Hartsky, James Robertson, Bo Claridge, Mike Doster, and Gary Miller. I guess that's more than 5. Obviously, the Handmade House Guild is growing. Thank you guys so much for joining the Guild, and if you're not a member of the Guild, please consider joining us. There's a lot of benefits in there, and again, you can learn all about it at handmadehouses.com. Come see us sometime on our brand new, totally renovated website. A lot of new material there that you'll really enjoy. Anyway, you guys take care. We'll see you next time. Bye now.